I just got this beautiful silver dollar plant, also called Xerosicyos danguyi. Join me while we learn a little bit about it. Liquid Amber Girl gardening. The wind is a little bit out of control today, has been for the last couple of days here actually. So hopefully that doesn't interfere with us too much in this video, but if it does, I'll go ahead and apologize in advance. So let's get started. The name Xerosicyos is so strange. It actually comes from, here goes the wind. I'm gonna wait just a second. Look at Tilly. Look how cute you are, little girl. Silly girl. Hi. There it goes. Okay. So Xerosicyos comes from two root words, xeros meaning dry and cycyos meaning cucumber, because this is actually in the cucumber family. So it doesn't have a whole lot of ties to other succulent plants. Also, where it seems to come from, there are lots of places. One that comes to mind is Madagascar. It's kind of like rainforest, but it can be really, really dry. So it has a lot of kind of, I don't know, opposites going on in its life. It is actually a climber, and it can send out little tendrils that will help it grab onto other plants so that it could climb up from and get up to the top of the canopy and get a lot of sun. This plant actually can handle full sun, and it can handle part sun, probably not just bright shade. It needs to have, according to one website that I found, as much as 4 hours a day would be like the minimum, and any more than that would be better. It just, the more sun it has, the more it's going to grow for you, and obviously your watering will be paired with that. So if you are in a less sun situation, then you're going to have to water this plant less, because it's not going to be able to use that water as quickly. So that's something you'll need to be sensitive to if you are keeping this plant in your home. Another interesting thing about this plant is you will know if it was started from seed or if it was grown from a cutting based on whether or not it develops a caudex, which, if you've ever looked at succulents that have that big, huge, it would be like a big brown, like fist size or bigger, basically root, and that will be where it holds a lot of its water. Any cuttings that are grown and start roots will not develop a caudex, whereas if you have a plant that was started from seed, it will develop a caudex. So that's a good way to tell. Another really fun thing about this, I said earlier that this will grow up from the base of the whatever rainforest or whatever situation it's in up to the top of the canopy. This plant can actually grow between 12 and 15 feet tall. And again, that's going to depend on the lighting situation that you have. If it doesn't have full sun, then it's not going to be able to achieve that kind of height. But if you have like a greenhouse or someplace, a conservatory, something like that to grow it in, you could have a really fantastic specimen plant. If you live in zones 9 through 11, actually 9B to be specific, to 11, you can actually grow this plant outside. It can tolerate temperatures all the way down to 25 degrees Fahrenheit, which is pretty fantastic. That's below freezing. Not too far below, but a little bit it can handle. And of course, it's going to handle it better if it's growing in the ground than if it's pot grown like this one is. For watering, you're going to treat this plant much as you would a succulent. You really want to let the soil dry out in between waterings. And in the winter time, you want to water a lot less in amount and maybe even less frequently. So you could take it down to almost like every 3 or 4 weeks, giving it just a real rest. Another thing that this plant does not want or require is fertilizer. I saw one website that suggested maybe a once a year thing, like maybe at the beginning of the growing season you could give it a little bit, but no more frequently than that. You don't want to give this fertilizer in nature. It just doesn't have access to that. so you really shouldn't give it to it when you're trying to grow it in your house, especially, and again, this ties in with watering and sun. If you don't have a whole lot of bright light, then you don't want to ask your plant to do a whole lot of fantastic growing, because it can't. It needs to have that full sun situation. So the last thing I wanted to show you was this beautiful pot. My husband found this for me in his grandmother's garage, and it is from McCoy Pottery. So we live in Ohio, and in our area, McCoy Pottery was kind of a big deal. Of course, all of our soil, if you're digging in the ground, is almost completely clay. And that makes it really not fun for people who like to grow plants. But if you're someone who wants to do pottery, it's a perfect situation. This is considered mid-century, so it was probably late 1940s into the 1950s that they made this. It's called a basket weave in a seafoam green or teal, I guess. But I just thought it was so pretty and the perfect size for these beautiful cuttings that I just got. So I hope that you all enjoyed this video, and I hope that it will be helpful to you if you're trying to grow this plant. And if you have any advice to share with us, please comment below. I hope you have a great week, everyone. See you next video.